All right, welcome back. We are live once again with another wonderful episode of AI Data Mastery. I'm your host, Jason Renno. A quick thank you to our guest, Evolve with AI and Data Accelerator. We appreciate you sponsoring the show. I'm very excited because today's guest, he lives on the factory floor where results matter and downtime is downright expensive. Joel Onyshuk from Formic works with manufacturers to deliver full service automation that actually performs. Robot service and real time production data all wrapped into one predictable monthly model. So stay tuned if you want to understand how automation and data are driving real time operational outcomes, because this is frankly a conversation you're going to want to hear. So, welcome to the show, Joel. Appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Jason. These are always fun for me. I'm often on the other side of the microphone, and I'm excited to have you take me where you want today.
Well, wonderful. I guess the conversation can go, I guess wherever we want it to go. So, but first, tell us a little bit. Usually it's easier to start off, especially in with this type of conversation, or from the B2B space that you're in. Is what's the problem that you're solving? What are you doing to help businesses drive better results, drive ROI? What's the problem that you're solving in the industry?
Pure and simple, the problem we're solving is we're trying to save American manufacturing. American manufacturing is woefully behind in the global market when it comes to automation and advancements technologically. If you go to China, Japan, really anywhere, a lot of places overseas are kicking our butts when it comes to the investments required to stay modernized, to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to technology, and embracing best of breed sort of technologies to improve efficiencies, productivity, safety, quality, all those things that matter in manufacturing. And so if manufacturers in the US, especially the ones that are bread and butter, the backbone of the country, which are the mid-size food and
Mm-hmm.
beverage companies, the small food and beverage companies, if they don't evolve, they will die. This is an evolve or die situation, and they're either going to be eaten up or beaten by the big guys, the Coca-Colas, the Pepsis, the whoever they may be, or they're going to be acquired by them and they'll disappear overnight. And if you look at the diagrams of all the companies owned by the biggest names out there in manufacturing, it's a huge amount of manufacturing owned ultimately by a few companies. And then if you look at everyone else, it's all these mid-sized and small food, beverage, CPG companies that we work with, who are the ones who are innovating, who are bringing crazy, incredible products to market, and who don't have $8 billion in capital to go spend in 2026 on the nifty state-of-the-art stuff. They're just trying to make payroll. They're just trying to grow their
Survive.
business. They're trying to survive amidst the Walmart, Costco, Amazon world that we're in of big boys with lots of money and who are able to, with that scale, have profit margins that little guys can't keep up with. So, when it comes to what we offer, 70% of our customers have never gotten into automation, end-to-line automation before, case packing, palletizing, things like that. And they don't either have the money to do it or they don't have the experience to do it, and it's going to fail if they try, or they're at least very afraid it's going to fail if they try, and they don't want to take the risk. And so, what full service automation means to Formic is no capital, no internal resources required to be successful, and no risk. We do everything soup to nuts, white glove treatment from beginning to end. You just point and it's automated, and we do the rest. So, for us, that is our part that we're trying to play in enabling and partnering with manufacturers in the country to frankly save U.S. manufacturing.
That's pretty incredible. Where do you see? I know when in terms of your case, we can you come in, point, click, and you're there. But what have you seen in the past? What's the biggest reasons that automation or AI type of automation projects, or in projects, where do you see them failed in the past? You come in for a client and you know there's that hesitation, like, oh, we've tried this or we've tried this. Where do you see things that have typically gone wrong, and where do you see that kind of, is there a wall there with the clients that you're talking to or potential clients that you're talking to?
Yeah, there's quite a few things that are common, but I would say in the world we live in now, speed is everything. Agility is everything. Your customers, retail companies, and so forth are making a lot of rapid changes, taking their data from the way their customers spend their money and spend their time in their stores and the layouts of their planograms and all that stuff, and saying, hey, we need new packaging types, new packaging materials, new ways of displaying the product in the marketplace. And where that goes is that demand gets placed back in the manufacturing floor on our customers. And they're going, I don't know if I can spend capital. Let's say I need 5 palletizers. Just the automation alone, let alone everything else that goes along with it for total cost of ownership, it's probably gonna be $1 million or more in capital for 5 robots. I don't know if I want to go spend $1 million on 5 palletizers and then a total cost of ownership that vastly surpasses that over the next 57 months, which is, by the way, the break-even average between investment in capital or Formic when it comes down to where now it makes sense to go the capital route. I don't know if I
Gotcha.
can forecast 57 months from now and say that I'm still going to need that exact piece of equipment that runs at that exact speed and stacks at that exact height and works with those exact boxes. Because frankly, I don't know what 5 months looks like from now because my customer needs to change. And I have to remain agile. So what do I do to remain agile? I throw more bodies on the shop floor. Where are those bodies? We're going to have 2.1 million unfilled manufacturing jobs by 2030. And it's going to get worse after that. So in my pursuit of agility and my pursuit of saying yes to my customer, which we all want to be able to do, they are shackling themselves with more expensive production and the inability to make the investments required because they either don't have the capital or it's too risky to spend that capital or because they'll strand that capital in projects that ultimately are useless and collecting dust in the back room a year, 2 years, 3 years from now.
Gotcha. Very interesting. Um, as we spin off to like, I mean, like we touched on the pre-show briefly, in terms of the you're looking to save manufacturing, you're delivering an amazing product. Now, how are you introducing your product? How are you pushing your company out there into the marketplace? What are you doing to bring on new clients? What are you doing to, get your foot in the door on companies and then take them through that client acquisition process? Uh, every obviously B2B client acquisition process is different. Every company has a unique twist to it. I'm curious, what has worked in the past and what are you trying to possibly incorporate in the future?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff in our go-to-market strategy that won't shock anyone as far as, our marketing and sales
Hmm.
motion familiar, and I would say a sizable number of your listeners. We still do all the pay-per-click stuff. It's, wildly different every day, it seems, on its efficacy. We still do our social media campaigns. We still make videos. We still make our one-pagers and our case studies and our videos for YouTube and all that stuff. But I think what sets us apart and makes us unique in our go-to-market strategy and that sales motion and marketing motion is the manufacturing sector that we're in, which anyone listening who's in it too will resonate with this, is hyper relational. It's very incestuous. People just trade employees. People go from this company to this company to this company, and they all kind of know each other. And there's a lot of, again, our business caters to the small and mid-tier sector. So there's a lot of family-owned, multi-generational businesses that value relationships, value long-term vendor partnerships, and things like that. And so my philosophy that I tell my team is very simple: be everywhere and know everyone. And it sounds simple and easy to roll off the tongue. It's sometimes difficult to do in practice. You really have to be everywhere, and you really have to know everyone. And that looks the way we achieve that is found in a few things that make us pretty unique. One, any show that's possibly out there, a conference, an expo, we may not be uh, at a booth that we've purchased in our little spot and waiting for people to come around and get to know us. We may be attending it though and walking every single one. and becoming a familiar face that constantly shows up. It's always there at the bar. It's always at the after party. It's always at the hotel in the lobby. We're everywhere. And it's like, didn't I just see you 2 weeks ago at the other show? Yes, you did. Did I just see you 2 months ago? Yes, I did. And,
Yes. Yeah.
and so we're everywhere. But that also, beyond physicality, involves our social media presence as well. One of the things that I'm really working with my team on is recognizing the benefit that LinkedIn does provide. I'm not a celebrity of any sort, but like my network has grown sizably in the last several years. There's people with way more than I do, but I have like 6,200 people that follow me on LinkedIn. And every month there's someone reaching out to me who I knew from years ago or met by happenstance and just going, hey, I need what you have now.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at a hotel with my key account director last week in Dallas, and we were talking about how do we go after targeting $1 to $5 billion companies in 2026 because we want to go up market and prove our value there. And literally at 5 p.m. on a Thursday or a Wednesday night, while we're talking about this, lo and behold, the decision maker for a $5 billion company reaches out to me on LinkedIn and goes, hey, I need to talk to you or one of your reps. I need 35 palletizers. And it's like, when would that have happened? You know how much time that would have taken us to break into that company with brute SDR strength and marketing spend and account-based marketing strategies and all that stuff? All it takes is relationships in this industry. And so being everywhere and knowing everyone is a physical requirement for our team. It's a social media online presence requirement for our team. And then at a corporate level, yes, we're attending all the trade shows and the expos that we can within our budget, but we're also on the cheap and actually more effectively co-leading events that our customers are putting on for surrounding organizations like them. So a dozen times or so in 2026, we're going to have our customers who have self-selected essentially into this model with us saying, yes, we would love to tell other people in our backyard about what we're doing to automate differently, how we're tackling our growth strategy, and why this made sense for us versus the capital route, why this made sense to us versus trying to do it all ourselves. And so when you get the invite from a well-known logo in your backyard making food or beverage or CPG products just like you are, who's hosting an event to do a plant floor tour, to share their automation journey and share how they're doing it differently than anyone else around them, executives perk up and go, like, again, it's incestuous. I know those people. I used to work over there. Or they used to work for me, or we've traded employees, or we're co-manufacturers with each other, or whatever.
Yeah, it's just another business trying to survive. So they're like, hey, they're surviving with this. Why would they're not going to put their reputation on the line for no reason. And then, yeah, I mean, it sounds remarkable.
It's our Formic automation community, and we have an event actually when this goes live. I'm sure it'll be past already, but we have an event in 2 days in Michigan, and we do these all the time. And so I think that's another way that we're trying to be everywhere and know everyone. And so those are some of the unique elements of our go-to-market strategy to answer your question that I think are standout amongst some other companies in our space.
Yeah, that's good. What about I mean, is everything in terms of once somebody like raises their hand and they're interested, they fill out a form, they call in, whatever the case is, they make that initial contact. Is there any type of AI automation being incorporated? And I ask that in terms of like a pendulum, somebody's in your system, somebody's, I don't want to call it your sales funnel, but somebody's in that relationship building process to be turned into a client. Is there AI automation being used to a certain extent, maybe 10 or 15%, and then the rest is human contact, or is it, 100% human at this point?
Yeah, there's a few AI touch points that are involved in an early kind of MQL acquisition perspective. When it comes to someone reaching out to us, speed is of the essence.
Of course.
And that person's in front of their computer right now. That person's on the phone right now. That person filled out a form on their phone right now. And they want an answer right now. And if you can get them right now, you're going to get a much better customer experience and a much better opportunity to help them before this becomes number 10 in their priority list. Because right now it's number 1 because they're thinking about it, right?
Of course.
And so while AI isn't employed, because we're still a small company, we're pretty scrappy, we're high touch and highly relational, and so we don't want to do AI bots answering your phone call or calling you back. We do want a human being to connect with you and know you. But while speed is up at the essence, we're using a variety of tools at our disposal to get rapid intel on the type of company and the type of person this is. And so, we're using tools like Zoom Info with its embedded capabilities. We're using tools like Sales Navigator with its account research AI capabilities. We've got, our Gong is recording calls and spitting out the details of that call in an AI-driven way to tell the account executives the content of the call with the SDRs to inform the next outreach in the meeting in the future. We're doing that stuff, and then in addition to that, we have a corporate license for ChatGPT for account research of like, before I reach out to this company, what do they make? What do they do? How many plants do they have? Who are decision makers? Again, using that or Sales Navigator or other tools, that AI intelligence for us is critical for us to be ahead of the curve when it comes to outreach.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's, yes, first and foremost, there's absolutely no reason to go into any type of meeting or, situation, whether it be a sales call, initial sales call, or even just a future sales presentation where you're trying to close the deal without being fully educated on not just those individuals, but the industry and, everything involved. What are the industry issues and, things of that nature. Where do you, where do you see AI possibly being incorporated further down the line, or do you see ways for AI to be incorporated more in the sales process?
Yeah, you know, I'm an old school sales guy. I've been selling for 20 years, and holy cow, I'm old. And I think I'm an early adopter of a lot of technology, but I still see myself and my team continuing to be in a position where we look at AI as a nice to have, but we still need to embrace it as a must, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's again coming from an early adopter of a lot of stuff. I know we can do more, and I mentioned a lot of the tools, Gong and Sales Navigator and ChatGPT and other stuff earlier. I would say the things that we're doing now are not rocket science, and for anyone who's in the sales space, are probably pretty common, but they are important to us. And so, when it comes to some of the areas that we're leveraging it most, we have an ICP of, or TAM rather, of probably 8 to 10,000 companies in the U.S., depending on how you slice and dice it. And then there's more manufacturing plants on top of that within those companies, as represented by those logos. And knowing how to parse them out and organize them by micro vertical. This is how many in each category that we're selling to. This is where they tend to be located. These, now we know where they are. What are the industry trends for each of them? How do we tailor our pitch to each of them? When I'm talking to this company, who are their main competitors based on the news in the market right now? Where are the likely pains they're facing? How do I tailor that pitch now using this deck, using this talk track and this value proposition, and marry it up with those particular trends? These are all things that sales reps have been doing and should be doing for years. This isn't rocket science, but it's stuff that takes a long time to prepare and do that can be done in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I was going to
Um,
say just that's the exact way to do it, but you're talking about 2 weeks worth of a copywriter writing all of those, emails and ads and everything specific to every single type of vertical. So you're talking, you're not trying to talk to everyone, but talk specifically to that end user. Yeah, you're talking weeks and weeks worth of time that have shrunken down into 47 seconds.
well, and even I remember the first thing that ever blew my mind, and this was actually early in the Chat GPT phase when they were initially launching. I was working for a different company, but I had a meeting with the CFO of a Fortune 100 company, and I'm not a finance guy. Like, I wish I could say I was. I'm not. I'm a sales guy. I'm a sales guy who accidentally ended up in sales, who just is a musician at heart, right? I'm not. I don't have the finance backbone. And I'm like, I'm going to talk to the CFO, and I need to sound freaking credible right now. And so I remember taking their annual report, their sustainability report, quarterly report, every report I could find online, every piece of publicly available data about the financial situation at the organization. I dumped it into ChatGPT and threw a million different prompts. Basically, it was just like, tell me what I need to tell this person. Like,
Yeah.
here's what I sell. Here's
Make
our
me sound
value.
smart.
Here's their situation. Give me the cliff notes, basically, of what this conversation needs to look like. And I remember, there was like 437 pages of documentation that, frankly, old me would have still read, but wouldn't have read it as well, wouldn't have retained the information, would have not been able to cross-reference it immediately. And so that's the sort of thing that our team is trying to do at scale now. That key account director that I mentioned last week, he's going to have 25 accounts to go after this year. You bet your bottom dollar he's going to go after those accounts by analyzing the tar out of them using a million different tools, not least of which being AI-driven tools. That's going to give us insight that he just won't be able to do at scale. So it's important for us, that's for sure.
Yeah, gotcha. And then where what I find interesting too is admittedly myself is taking all that information and then obviously using AI to put together that email, but then not necessarily and not being lazy and cut and pasting that email and using it because you want to make sure back to that relationship building process and making sure it's human like is taking all that data, but then making sure that that end result is not, with all the dashes and emojis, but also that's obvious, but then also making sure it's not, doesn't sound like it's written, making sure there's that human like touch in there.
Yeah. And, there's a lot of ways to do that too. I mean, I remember, I get made fun of by my social circle, and any of my sales reps who listen to this will probably agree and laugh. Loved ones will tell you. I get made fun of based on the way I talk quite often because I get told that you use words that no one uses, or you the way you phrase things just isn't like a normal human being. And I think it's just because I had a well-read mother who read books to me every day growing up, and like not the little engine that could, but Jungle Book at age 8, and Rudyard Kipling stuff, and Swiss Family Robinson at 6 years old, and all that stuff. So I ended up with having a big vocabulary. The point of that is not to say Joel's smart, because I'm not. But the point of saying that is I've had to learn a couple different things with my messaging, and that is, one, rather than ChatGPT spitting out what it wants to tell me in a message, I dump in all of the way Joel talks, my speech cadences, the way I frame up my thoughts from. I mean, I have almost 100 podcasts right now. All those transcripts are available. Dump all those transcripts in. Now take Joel's way of talking and reframe everything you just gave me, right? And rewrite it. And now take my words and make them like 10th grade English versus whatever I speak, and make it just very approachable, right? And so whatever it is, all that stuff is AI driven, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. And people don't realize how valuable transcripts are. Even just the transcript of this show, a transcript of calls you have with your potential clients or prospects, or any type of call transcripts, and taking that and uploading it into an AI prompt, a knowledge base, whatever you want to call it. And it can learn so much. So it's not just about, if, for example, like if you're building out like a voice AI, there's so much that can go into a prompt from a transcript or a call recording, and it's so important to take the time and do it. But
Yeah.
yes, you can use AI to create that human touch. Still recommend, double checking the final output, obviously, but it's there's definitely a way to customize the dialect, the approach, and then also it's extremely important to set up who are you talking to. In your case, you're talking to decision makers at specific, manufacturing companies or certain businesses doing a certain amount of revenue. Like what are their pain points? What are they looking at? What problems are they solving? You're trying to talk to a decision maker who's looking to, keep their job and stay engaged and deliver a home run to his company this year. Well, how is Formic that home run? That's not an email that's going to be like, hey, look at our robots, they're awesome, or hey, we can solve, XYZ. It's, how can AI help deliver that type of problem? It can help deliver a very high quality copy, but it needs to know about the end result and who that ideal client is, and their bleeding neck problems is what I like to say.
Well, this is a very much an oh duh kind of thing to say, but I'll say it anyway. it's not just about having the product that matters to your customer. It's not just about having the ability to speak about the product that you have for your customer that helps them. It's about speaking to them in language they use about the product that they need. And if I get and I get a million outbound emails from other salespeople a day, and I realize just how low the bar is for salespeople these days. But uh, it, I get a lot of copy that I receive, and I go like, you're not even talking in language that I use. You think about reaching out to a VP of sales, and you use word. If, I'm making this up. But if you're like, hey, would you like to make more money for every sale that you generate? That's not the way I talk, right? The lingo that we use is going to be like your ASP, your average sales price, or whatever. I'm making a very stupid analogy, but like if you reach out to our customer base and you're not using the words they use on the manufacturing floor, in their finance discussions, in their automation discussions, in the boardroom, to talk about what we do and the problems that we solve and the outcomes that we generate, we're missing the mark because we're forcing them now to reframe what they read from us, which is unsolicited, or what they hear from us, which is generally unsolicited as salespeople, and then now we have to try and make it make sense in our minds. It's too much work. I've already lost that customer. They've already moved on to something else. So that AI leverage to be able to reframe based on the plant manager, manufacturing director, VP of operations, CFO, CEO, owner, board member, the same exact message is invaluable.
Yeah, exactly. To be able to customize every message based off that end target and that value driven proposition is, yes, extremely invaluable. I mean, and you don't realize how many different variations and variables and what's often referred to as spin tag variations, even just in emails, that you can incorporate within an AI delivery system to make that email extremely customized and increase open rates and everything else. What else? You mentioned trade shows, and you guys work or go to a lot of trade shows and events and conventions.
Yeah, they are still the best possible way to get in front of our customers. That they're
Do you guys
there, they're
bring
excited.
out? Do you guys do full demos?
Yeah, so we will generally have a booth that is of varying sizes depending on the kind of money and that we want to spend based on the size of the show. But what we sell is very visual. It's very tangible. We're not selling hopes and dreams. We're selling a robot that's very clearly right
Yeah, I'm
there
looking at. I
stacking
mean, I'm just
boxes.
scrolling through your website. I mean, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you walk by a booth and there's an arm moving back and forth, lifting and placing, like it just captures your attention. I'm still like a little kid. I've been here for a year and 4 or 5 months, and I still stare at them like a child watching them build stuff.
100%. Where so in terms of, you obviously have booths. You say you go to booths. Do you do any type of digital presence within those conferences and markets? Target those conventions anyway.
Are you saying like digital signage, like outside the conference on
Or
billboard?
or even just like within the different social media ad platforms, hey, we're going to be at this place. Let's go
Oh yeah,
geofence and target those people. And obviously, the sales team in the booth, there's a certain limitation of what type of outreach. If you got 5,000 people there, not everybody's going to walk through the booth, or you can't get a card from everybody, so to speak. Um,
yeah. I mean,
what?
I would defer to our CMO on the exact techniques he uses when it comes to geofencing and all that stuff. I'm much more the boots in the ground army grunt than he is, which is more like the firefighter precision. But I am I'm aware that we do a lot of digital marketing, but most of our stuff is very high touch, very relational. And so yeah, we may have digital signage, pointing toward a booth, or we may have stuff we've placed in strategic ways, or we've um, been a sponsor for a certain event that happens there. But most of our stuff comes down to prepping the market for the show very intentionally via high touch. So I've got my top 50 companies in my territory of 200, 300 companies. I'm emailing all of them, LinkedIn messaging all of them, calling all of them, delivering, high value mail campaign propaganda, basically, ahead of time to go, hey, if this is what you are looking for, you will find us here, and I will see you there. And here's where, and here's my face. This is who you should be talking to. I'm gonna catch you in the booth or in the expo as you walk past the booth. So we try to do a lot of prep stuff ahead of time to let people know to find us versus have them walk by happenstance.
Yeah, no, that's really good. So it's more they know exactly where to go. It's they don't just make you got to make everything intentional, right? How do you create that intent? Whether it's an intent to just show up to the booth, hey, that's a what I what I would refer to. That's a layer of intent. They did
Yeah.
something I asked them to. Okay, now how do I continue to add layers of intent to draw them into
Right.
an actual client? So I mean, just the fact that you're starting even before that precursor, before the event even happens, and directing them to your booth, making sure they show up there, or doing everything you can to make them show up there. That's most people aren't. I don't see a lot of people having that forethought. Frankly, they just throw up the booth, they put up a cool booth, and it's maybe throw out an email or something to their database. But it sounds like you're taking it much substantially
Well,
deeper than that.
hope is not a strategy, right? And we've all heard that phrase. So
Exactly,
we still freaking
exactly.
do it all
Hope
the
is not a
time.
strategy.
Yeah,
What's the
and
saying? Wish in one hand, shit in the other, and see what happens,
yeah, yeah. I mean, if I'm a sales rep and you've handed me 300, 200 logos, every one of them is precious. These are little Fabergé eggs. I don't want to break them. I don't want to screw the relationship by mass uploading and sending just some crap into the ether and hoping that they receive it and they click it. Like every one of them matters. And I can't afford to be careless or cavalier in the way I treat my finite list of gold precious prospects. So
like you said. Sorry, I don't know how. My voice AI thing, I guess, it wasn't shut off. My apologies.
you're good. You're good. I couldn't
Um,
hear it.
the but yes, because in to your point of what you were saying is what you had mentioned before is your total addressable market. I mean, call it 20,000 or less, like you said, 10 to 15,000. Just say 20,000 or less. Every deal is precious. You can't. You're not a B2C type of company that has 50 million potential clients where it's like you burn a bridge or two. It's like, okay, we're just going to move on to the next one. There's 48 point whatever billion other opportunities. Every opportunity is precious, and in your case, is is a long term. It's not just a one time $100 or $200 agreement. This could potentially be worth each client could potentially be worth millions to your company. And it is precious. It is what did you just say? It was like a Fabergé egg.
Fabergé egg, yeah.
There you go. And that is the major difference between the B2B and B2C type of relationship building and sales process. What do you think your average sales process is, or I'm sorry, uh, not sales process is, but buying cycle? You meet somebody on the floor, somebody calls in, fills out a form, from start to finish. What is the average sales cycle?
Yeah, we're around 90 days, which is, I'd
Say
like to get
90
it to,
days, 3 months.
yeah, yeah, 90
Yeah.
days. I would like to get down to 60. I'm not under any illusion that that is an easy task. But, when it comes to our market, manufacturing companies, one, they move a little slow, right? A mistake made in the manufacturing floor doesn't just cost them the value of that project or wasted contract value. It's wasted time, energy, production hours, efficiency losses. I mean, it could be a staggering impact to a manufacturing plant. And so a lot of times you'll find companies will do a heck of a lot of research. They'll go through the process of getting 3, 5 competitive quotes, and each of those takes a bazillion meetings and emails and phone calls and time the manufacturing floor. And it's hard to really even know what the differentiation between any of them are because they're all telling you that they can solve your problem. They're all kind of solving a little differently. It could be 6, 9, 12, 18 months from the moment you start thinking about doing automation in your plant to actually getting it live because of the grunt work up front, especially when you're part of the 70% of our customers who have no background doing it before. It's like a high amount of pressure to get it right. I mean, you have one guy raising his hand going, hey, we should probably do this. And it's like, all right, Greg, figure it out. And he's like, well, if I don't get this right, I might be fired. It's like, it's not a small deal to try something risky. And so, for us, we yes, we make our own robots. We also source from a variety of highly proven, very rapidly deployable solutions from a variety of OEMs. And so we're kind of a hub where, like, in 1 2 hour visit on site, we can do what takes you months, because we're sourcing from 15 different options that all could possibly solve your issue, and not putting a square peg in a round hole going, here's my 3 things I can offer you, try to make it work. We're just going saying, hey, here's the breadth of what the market has to offer. What makes us unique isn't the technology from a robotic perspective. It's everything that surrounds it. It's the buying process. It's the full service aspect of us doing everything soup to nuts for you. It's making it easy. It's having month to month contracts instead of 57 month payoffs to break even. Like, that's what makes us unique. It's not the technology necessarily from a robotic arm perspective. And so it's a very unique sales process to take someone in and through, because they're expecting it to be very difficult and challenging, and they end up looking around going, that's it? It's like, yeah, that's it. Like, within a day of visiting you, I can tell you exactly what it'll cost from a month-to-month perspective. You just sign the contract, and we can try it for a few months. If you don't like it, rip it out. And by the way, that trial for a few months is going to cost you probably less than the cost of labor. So you're actually saving money trying a new technology versus the way you've done it before.
Interesting. I love how you've basically taken the entire sale process from start to finish, and it's like, give me every reason somebody can say no. Okay, it's too much upfront. It's too expensive. And you're like, okay, let's just literally take out every reason somebody could say no, take out all the barriers, take out all the resistance. And then, like you're saying, somebody kind of starts looking around and they're looking at the other decision makers. They're like, well, why wouldn't we do this? Like, is this like a no, as, kind of what in the sales world you kind of call it's a no brainer,
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's you point out the exact reason our company was founded by Saman, our CEO. It was, holy cow, we're getting our butts kicked in the U.S. Why are we getting our butts kicked in the U.S. from a manufacturing technology perspective? Here are all the barriers: high capital cost, inexperience, and high risk. Let's build an entire business eliminating those factors.
That's phenomenal. I didn't realize it was we're almost running to 40 minutes. I want to make sure I value your time and everybody else's, and we don't do these Joe Rogan type of podcast. The show is phenomenal, but I don't know if we can keep it. I don't know if we can keep people interested for 3 to 4 hours here.
May need to pivot to a different topic if we do that. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Definitely a different topic than B2B marketing and manufacturing and things of that nature. Although I think I could answer or ask several different questions and go, probably go for a while specifically on the business, the robots, how they work, and everything else, or even just how you're able to deliver that on a month to month basis, bring it in. I mean, there's obviously a risk to you, a cost to you, and just from a business perspective, and we could probably do a whole show just on that, but it's pretty remarkable what the founder and yourself and everybody there have done so far, especially with that whole sales process, and that, again, making it just so easy to say yes and solve that major problem for these small to mid-sized businesses.
Well, you point out, I know we're running up on time here, but the phrase that I introduced to our organization, which was about probably a year ago, and we started talking about it more recently, are now embedded into our operating principles as an organization, and that is create the magic. Like, we want working with Formic to feel like magic, and it comes down to 4 things. When you work with us, does it feel easy, clear, fast, and value added? And we strip apart our sales process and the way we operate and go, is that particular thing that we're asking the customer to do clear, easy, fast, and value added? And if it's not, we do it. We'll figure out a way to do it for the customer, because we don't want them to do anything that's a waste of their time, that takes them a long time, that doesn't feel like it's driving value for them, that feels difficult. If it's any of those things, we're going to tackle it ourselves. And we're not perfect at it, but it's the it's the North Star for the way we look at our sales process and a variety of other things in our business.
It's really a phenomenal way to look at things. Obviously, Formic's obviously it's exceptionally lucky to have you. As we sign off here, what type? You seem like you're listening to a podcast or something, or you got to have something queued up. What is your favorite podcast that you're listening to right now, or show? Assuming you're listening to one, and if not, then what's a book that you'd highly recommend to somebody in your position or somebody in that kind of B2B, marketing, client acquisition space?
Great question. Let me see if I have it right. I should have it right here. I still love reading. I listen to podcasts.
Okay, there you go. You're a book guy. I mean,
Yeah, anyone who knows me will definitely know this recommendation. But this book, you can see it in the camera, hard to see with the background. There we go. Brief and Brilliant.
okay.
It's the second book by Nate Nasrallah. He's someone I massively respect in the B2B sales space. If you follow him on LinkedIn, he's got a bazillion followers. He's got another book that he wrote before this that's called Selling With, which is how do you empower your champion to take your message internally and sell on your behalf within an organization. Because the selling happens when you're not in the room, not when you are in the room. And so how do you empower that person to sell for you, with you? And in the second book, Brief and Brilliant, I'm reading that now. Anything that man does, and tag him in this post if you make a clip here, is brilliant. And it is modern, it is relevant, it is timely, and I recommend both Selling With and Brief and Brilliant. I'm not being paid by Nate, but Nate, if you're watching, I'll take a cut of your 2026 sales here.
There you go. I'm gonna have to look into it. And then I love what you said in terms of, and I think that's what's so important in that B2B space, and where even just like AI automation and stuff could even just the way even the way you're incorporating, or the CMO's incorporating the additional, like that omni-channel presence, where they're not just relying on strictly boots on the ground and maybe some email marketing and some LinkedIn connection requests. They understand the value of, I was trying to write that down, but selling happens when you're not in the room. Or basically what that means is the trust and the credibility, right? You can deliver the numbers. You can say, hey, we can save you X amount of dollars. We can do this. But what happens when you're not on the Zoom call nowadays? Back with, I think the phrase was meant like in actual giving a face-on-face presentation, although that does happen in the B2B space. But what happens when you're not there? What happens when you're not on the phone with them or on a Zoom call with them? What else are they seeing about your business? Is it driving trust and credibility? Is it creating that FOMO, that fear of missing out, especially in your case, where it's like, hey, these are what the other guys are doing. These are what your competitors are doing. These are what your other businesses around you are doing. You need to be doing it too. How are you leveraging social media ads, programmatic ads, email marketing? How are you doing all of that? Which I think is phenomenal. It sounds like your CMO's already doing all that to build that trust and credibility to help the sales team. So it's much more impactful. And the way you guys are doing the account-based marketing too, is I think spot on. So now it's not just, hey, I'm talking to the CEO, but there's 6 or 7 decision makers at that company. How do we target all of them and get in front of all of them and build trust and credibility with all of them during that 90-day buy cycle? So there's a lot there, and it sounds like you guys are doing a lot right. That's pretty cool.
We're trying. We have to. It's a startup. We succeed or we die, right? Evolve or die. We only have one option. So
yeah, exactly. Sorry, I went off on a tangent there, but it just says selling happens not in the room, and I think that's just such a missing piece that so many people, honestly, B2B or B2C, I think is just miss altogether. But anyways, really appreciate your time. This is a great episode. Everything that you shared was really phenomenal, added value, and appreciate you being here. Any last minute remarks before we sign off? The website, correct me if I'm wrong, is, or just spit it.
Yeah, Formic, Formic, formic.co.
I was going to say dot .co. Formic.co. I'll make sure it's in all the show notes and everything else.
Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's wonderful to be in this side of the mic and share, what we're doing, what I'm passionate about on our sales side, and how we're hoping to save American manufacturing.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate your time, Joel. Thank you for being here. Everybody that's tuned in, thank you for listening. And don't forget to stay tuned for the next episode. Like, subscribe, social media, YouTube, podcast, everywhere, or wherever you're tuning into this show. And thank you again. And take care, everyone. Have a wonderful day.